Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Incursio the Gamer quick builds video. Today we have Thumb Capo Meursault, also known as the Thumb East Capo for Meursault. In the last video, my Zwei Gregor video, running out of names asked to see a Thumb Capo Meursault and a couple of Heathcliff builds, and I absolutely love the idea. Additionally, Fire Hitter said something about multi-class requirements. Worry not, I'll be taking that into consideration from now on. Like the Zwei Gregor, like the Artificer, we have Intelligence 13 requirement. I'm going to be following that. It's going to be great. And yeah, so who is the Thumb East Capo for Meursault? He is a unit in Limbus Company who has high health, high speed, high defense stats, and most importantly, high rolling skills. He hits hard, he clashes well, and he has a great passive once he runs out of ammo. Speaking of which, he is an ammo unit. We love the Thumb, but me personally, I don't like burn or tremor. I don't like the fact that I have to, tremor burst, which is why I'm more of a sinking guy, or bleed guy, or even rupture guy. Now, ignoring all that, getting straight into the meat of this video. Thumb Capo Meursault has insane physical stats. Because he is a male variant human fighter 4, Artificer 2, I can only work so much with level 6. Now, his strength and dex and con are going to be the highest, intelligence is 4th, and the wisdom and charisma are dump stats. He has a walking speed of 30, a health pool of 56, slightly lower than Zwei Gregor, saving throws of high physical, low mental. He has an initiative of +5, good speed, and armor class of 16. 13 passive senses across the board. Here are your proficiencies and your skills. You have proficiency in athletics, insight, intimidation, perception, and survival. Advantage in animal handling and intimidation, specifically because of the fighter subclass that we're taking, Rune Knight. You notice Artificer doesn't have a subclass because it is not level 3. We need to be level 7 to add that. However, if we were to go level 7, I would add it into fighter, so that we can have more attacks per action. Now, speaking of actions, you have the Thumb Meursault's weapon, which is the Padao. However, we don't have a Padao in D&D, so we're going to go with a glaive. And for his ammo, we're going to be using crossbow bolts, which meaning we're going to be using a crossbow. Why a crossbow? So that way we can use our bonus action as 2-weapon fighting. Now, his unarmed strike, of course, we have the dash, disengage, dodge, grapple, shove, all the normal stuff, magical tinkering. He creates light within a 5-foot radius that lasts 6 seconds long. All of that, it's not so relevant. It can just be the smoke from his cigar. Speaking of, later on we will be discussing these infusions. Now, bonus actions. He has 2-weapon fighting, which you'll be using most of the time. Spells Expeditious Retreat. He's a fast individual, especially in those animations. Frost Rune later comes on with, I believe, he has Fire Rune. There we go. Both of those are from his subclass of Rune Knight. Fire Rune does a little bit of extra damage, 2d6 fire, which makes sense because he is a tremor burn unit. And you'll see the tremor in action later. And the Frost Rune, which increases his strength and con. You can flavor that as his Unrelenting Spirit. Now, Giant's Might, same thing. Better your strength, Unrelenting Spirit. Second Wind, as Lei Hung usually is, or you can flavor that as maybe the ego going off, and it heals him a little bit. I believe there is a Meursault healing ego. Correct me if I'm wrong, of course. Reactions, Opportunity Attack, and Sentinel Attack, one of the feats you'll be taking later. And now for your other, you have Action Surge. Very important, very useful, especially when you're level 7. Level 6, you get an extra attack. It's basically just being level 7 for a turn. Now, you have your infuse items. You can infuse 2 items with magical properties because of your Artificer build. You also have the Slasher feat that will come in later. Now, for the infuse items, I personally took, down here, the Repeating Shot from my crossbow, which ignores the loading property, which is wonderful. Meaning, yes, the Thumb Meursault can just launch off slashes and shots whenever he feels like it. Additionally, enhancing a weapon, I used the glaive. It is a level 1 bonus. At level 10, you get a +2 bonus. It is beautiful. This is why I love Artificer. Now, going on to the spells, Booming Blade makes sense. His blade booms. He slashes you. Boom, big damage. Thunderclap will be the equivalent of Tremor. I flavor thunder damage as Tremor in this case, whereas lightning damage is still lightning damage. For your first level spells, you have Expeditious Retreat, Fairy Fire, False Life, and Long Strider. Long Strider, Expeditious Retreat for movement. False Life to get a little bit back up after expending all that ammo. Flavor as Unrelenting Spirit. Fairy Fire gives you a little bit extra to hit. You can guess what that is. Unrelenting Spirit. Now, for your inventory, Chainmail, technically you don't need it. Your AC is still really high without it. You could even multi-class into Monk if you wanted to increase that movement speed because, well, Meursault has a high speed. And maybe even throw in a couple of unarmed strikes in there later down the line when you're out of crossbow bolts, of course. Now, you have your crossbow bolts, crossbow light, and glaive. Down here, I decided one of the items that you could replicate was crossbow bolts walloping. Now, normal bolts, that'll be the normal Tiger Mark rounds. However, the walloping rounds, you must do a DC 10 strength saving throw, not very high of course, or the target gets knocked prone. Once the target's knocked prone, I figure that is, hey, a stronger shot. You know what's a stronger shot? Instead of the Tiger Mark round, Savage Tiger Mark rounds. Now, of course, Wand of Pyrotechnics, that's just the Thumb cigar. It is a signature piece of the Thumb Meursault's build. As you can take a look at him, he's a great red suit, a great red coat, a lovely big sword, a beautiful hat and glasses, and of course, he has that cigar stick between his fingers. It is beautiful art, and honestly, I mean, Thumb Capo Meursault is kind of one of the best characters that I know of in Limbus Company. As of right now, of course, we all know that the number one unit is Heysho Faust, the, one unit who survived not getting nerfed. Rip to my boy, Red Sheet Sinclair. But anyways, features and traits. Now, we'll start with the feats this time. You get Sentinel from Fighter, as, it's very useful with that ability to attack anyone within 5 feet being attacked by another person. You get the point. Slasher because he slashes with that Padao, in this case the glaive, and you get a little bit of extra damage from critical hits. Additionally, you can reduce your enemy's speed. It is magnificent. This is why I love this unit. Of course, lastly, Savage Attacker from Soldier. You get to reroll the damage dice, basically more damage. Species, he is a human. Deep speech, I figured that could be something of the pinky of sorts. By the way, for any spoilers, they'll be coming up. Might want to skip in the video, pause the video, maybe even leave. But here come the spoilers. Lei Hung is part of the pinky, not just part of the thumb. The pinky is a very weird organization in Limbus Company, and, well, a lot of people are in it. For example, one of the Heysho, Kongchu, even Lei Hung. And deep speech, I figured, would be the way of the pinky members identifying each other. Now, survival and proficiency, slasher feat, of course, class features. We start off in Fighter. You take the athletics and perception, you take the dueling, and you get second wind and action surge. Of course, Rune Knight is going to be your martial archetype, specifically so you can get Fire Rune and Frost Rune. You don't need any of the other two. Giant's Might, naturally, that is going to be Unrelenting Spirit, as you guys know. And moving on to Artificer. Artificer, you're only going to need it for those infused items. Later down the line, when you have so many magical items you can't even count, say you start at level 12 for a one-shot, you're not going to really need this Artificer build. You can just take the magical weapons yourself and add those levels back to Fighter. Now, background. He's a lawful neutral male with black eyes, medium build, about 6'2", insane. About 150 some odd pounds, 27 years old, because of, well, in The Stranger, he had a wife and all that. He kind of murdered white skin, black hair, and his faith is to the thumb. His loyalty lies there. Add whatever you want to ideals, bonds, flaws, notes, and extras. Now, that was Thumb Capo Meursault. Thank you guys so much for watching. This one was a mouthful. My first few recordings were like 15 minutes long. I had to squeeze it all in this time. But, yeah. I'm currently building Knight of Despair or Sword Sharpened with Tears Rodion. I will definitely be building some Heathcliff builds in the future, of course, and Lantern Dawn. Thank you, Fire Hitter, and running out of names. And that'll be it for today's video. See you all in the next one. Goodbye and good night.